Welcome back to Spank Me If I'm Wrong. This is Judah Lag, the modest gentleman, arguing with...
My name is Charles Spank. I am the lowlife at rock bottom.
Alrighty. And in today's episode, I think that we talked that we're going to argue about financial decisions.
Oh, this will be fun.
Disclaimer, I think both of us are broke. This is not financial. This is
financial advice.
No. This is financial advice. Okay, I'm not giving
legally
financial
speaking,
advice.
this is financial advice.
Okay, well, all right. Y'all can
sue
come
us.
over.
Put us in a lawsuit.
Put us in a lawsuit.
I am advocating for a lawsuit.
You can sue half of this podcast.
Nope, we're a team.
We live or die. Anyway, so I think you came up with the topics for this episode, so go ahead and give us the first one, Charles.
So the first topic we will be debating is your opinion on debt collectors. Stop.
Debt collectors. Scary.
Does that scare you?
I'd say if it weren't for heights and roller coasters, debt collectors would haunt my nightmares.
Is that actually one of your top 3 fears?
I mean, kinda. I mean, it's not like a fear. Like I don't see a businessman and I'm like, but I do strive to pay off all my debts. Not only do I think that morally that is correct, but I also believe that biblically the borrower is slave to the lender, and also it not only from a Christian stance and a moral stance, but also just from a financial stance, you have less money when you're in debt. If you were to go to a bank and calculate your wealth, like how wealthy you are, then if you have more debt than you do have assets, then you would be in the negative.
Yeah, but that's just kind of like an illusion.
Not really.
It is an illusion because overdraft is a thing. You know, if you can you can pay for stuff with your debt. You know, you can go out. This last place that I was going to buy, I was going to use my debt and pay for it and then pray that I got the money back on my next paycheck. So it's just an illusion. So I'm technically in debt, but I can still use money that I don't have in order to buy things.
When I pull out loans, I do the same thing. Like recently, I had to pull out a loan for a machine that I'm working on. However, I never pull out more debt than I can handle, number one. Number two, if I can pay off all my debt and if I can pay everything in cash, that would be the ideal lifestyle for me. But okay, think about it this way. So if we're farmers, let's say that you're like the mayor or the governor of a feudal town, right? And I'm the farmer of that feudal town. And I have harvested 5 bags of corn. However, I owe you 3 bags of corn. How many bags of corn do I actually have?
How many did you initially have?
This season, I harvested 5.
And you owe me 3?
Yeah.
Well, you would have 5 until I pester you to give me more. And then if I just keep saying, if I say, okay, you're good, just next time you're available, just pay me back. Then guess what? Eventually, you're just going to forget about it. Or I'm just going to forget about it.
You're not.
I am going to forget about it.
No, because then I'm not going to pay you the next time, and then the next time, and then the next time, and then you're going to say, okay, I'm taking your land, and you're not allowed to farm, and you're not allowed to farm here anymore until you pay off all your corn.
That's why you cease all contact.
Okay, so basically, I just pack up the corn and then go into the next town.
No, you don't necessarily have to do that, but let's use the real world example. Let's say that the debt collector is sending you text messages. They're sending you mail. They're knocking at your door. Don't answer your phone. Don't check your mail. And when they're knocking at the door, don't answer the door. Because guess what? Eventually, they're going to think, okay, well, this isn't worth the $300. You know, it's not worth the chase. I'm actually losing money by chasing him because I'm doing more work for $300. All debt collectors can do, unless it's like the IRS, all debt collectors can do is pressure you into paying for the debt. So what companies do is, let's say you owe a debt to a company, they'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then they'll hire a debt collector to push and push and push and push. If the debt collector gets the money, they get a certain percentage of that money. which is why the companies avoid getting debt collectors, which is why that whenever you're in debt, the companies will push and push and push to avoid having to go through a debt collector.
That's not true. Also, debt collectors can do more than just pester you. If you go a certain amount of time without paying your debts, the debt collector or the bank specifically can garner your wages. So, like, let's say, like, wherever you work right now, and you owed a debt, an outstanding debt that has been going on for several years. The bank can, I think they go to the courthouse and they sign a certificate in order to literally take your wages right out of your bank account. So before it hits your bank account, they've already collected their portion of the money. And they can also, if it gets really serious, they can do easements as well. They can do an easement on your land or your property and seize your property.
Yeah, but they won't do that.
That happens all the time, especially in larger cities.
Well, like I said, if I'm constantly living in a state of debt, and then all of a sudden, if I'm living to where I use all my paycheck, I go into debt, the next paycheck covers it, and then it just repeats. At that point, it's just kind of repeating the cycle. So if the debt collectors say, I'm going to take money out of your paycheck, I'll say, cool, guess what? I was already living like that. And it's not going to affect me too much.
But it is, because the loan is going to get so big that you're never going to pay the loan off. And then you're going to be living at half of your wages for the rest of your life.
Like I said, if I'm going to live like that right now, and there's no chance, if I continue on that trend, and it's not going to stop anytime soon, then I guess I suppose.
But it will stop if you
like
pay it off. If you pay it off before the interest. If
not
you pay
true.
more than the if you pay more than the interest, and it mathematically, it is stated that if you put, I think, $100 extra on your house loan, you can pay off your house in like 15 years earlier than expected.
Okay, think about this.
This was an extra $100.
You want to see how easy this is? The debt collector tells me, hey, I'm taking money out of your bank account so that you can repay this debt. You know what I'd say? Okay, that's fine. I understand. And then you know what I do? I open up a new bank account with a different account number and routing number. And then now, all of a sudden...
They have your employment information. If you switch... I'm pretty sure, anyway, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure they get your employment information. So if you started a new bank account and you told your employment, like, hey, deposit my money into this new bank account, I don't think changing the bank is going to help. I think they have your employment information, so it's just going to get pulled anyway. And let's say that okay, and I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, all right, that I'm just going to have them hand me an actual check. I knew you were going to say that.
I was thinking about it, but I didn't think it was a good argument.
I knew you were going to say that. You say, all right, let me just hand me a check. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I don't know what happens next, but I'm pretty sure they can seize your bank account. So if you create a new bank account and you tell them to give you a check, it's just you're just repeating the cycle, because they're eventually going to find that new bank account and then do the same thing all over again. And now you're just making it 10 times harder on yourself, because, I mean, direct deposit is so easy, you know?
Here's what I think. I think that you live and die in so much stress. You know, if let's say we both live the same amount of years. You live the way you do, I live the way that I do. We both die. I'm in $10,000 in debt. What happens to that? Well, too bad, I'm already dead. You're not getting that money.
We're also $10,000 in stress.
I'm not stressed out. The issue is, whenever you go into debt, you go, holy cow, the debt collector is going to come after me. If it gets too bad, they're going to seize my land. First of all, neither one of us got any land. All right, they ain't seizing nothing. And if they say, I'm suing you for all that you have, guess what? You're paying me because I'm in debt.
But
so
if
now
you
you're in
want
the negative.
but if you want land in the future, though,
I don't want land.
You don't want land. You don't want a house. You don't want a car.
I should be fine.
You don't want any of that. You have no strive for any of those desires.
Not necessarily, but like I said, you're like if things happen,
so if your car that you drive right now, if it broke down, you're telling me that you would not care at all, that you weren't allowed to pull out a loan to go get into the car?
No, I would use $200 and buy a moped like I did before. My car broke down. I used $200 or $500 to buy a moped, and then I save money on gas, and I don't have to pay for insurance, and then there you go.
But what $200? You have costs. I mean, you're paying for groceries, and you're paying either for rent or for a house loan right now, a house mortgage. You have a cost of living.
You think that I don't have an extra $200 to spare every month?
I thought you were rock bottom.
Yeah, but the reason I'm at rock bottom is because I just spend my money. If one week I said, okay, I'm going to just use this amount of money on a moped, like, you know,
Well, what if you had that mindset and you're like, I'm just going to spend that money, and then they seize your car?
then I ask, can I get a ride
From who?
from someone I work with? Or like, let's say I have to go somewhere. If I really want to go, I'll walk.
I mean, if you enjoy that lifestyle, then you enjoy that lifestyle. However, I don't think that's like an agreed upon lifestyle that is in any sort of way tolerable.
You think
or
that
fun.
you think that your lifestyle is less stressful than my lifestyle?
You have no idea. I recently paid off a really big debt, and I've also been paying off my school debt, and I paid off probably three-quarters of my school debt, and it was like a huge burden being lifted off my shoulders.
So your lifestyle is more stressful.
No.
I just said, is your lifestyle more stressful? You said you have no idea. I paid all this debt.
No, I don't think my lifestyle is stressful at all. I think it's stressful to have debt, but
I don't.
but when I feel like the combined action of acquiring debt and relieving the debt is less stressful than acquiring more and more and more and more debt until you like break the system and then you go to the positive, like a classic video game, you know?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, like who's more stress? Like, whose life is more stressful? If you have the same situation, one person is stressed, one person isn't. Wouldn't you want to listen to the guy who's not stressed out about it?
No, because sometimes not stressed people who don't stress out, like I don't think stress is healthy. Like if something's out of my control, I don't stress about it. However, if you just don't stress about it because you're ignorant of the situation or you just don't care, I think that makes you a less intelligent person.
I don't think it's less intelligence. I think that, like I said, if I just choose not to stress out about it, I'm like, okay, whatever happens, happens. We're all gonna die regardless. And we're all going to the same final destination of death. So
Right, but
really,
it's how you live your life until you die. So
right. So
as a Christian, I want to follow my core beliefs and I want to follow my lifestyle. And if having a debt is going to restrict me from living that lifestyle, that is going to add more stress to my life.
right, but if you don't care about the certain thing that's happening, then there's not going to be any stress.
Yeah, but at that point, then what should you care about?
I don't think that there's not much that stresses me out because I just choose to ignore the things.
Right, but it's going to get to a point. It's going to get like you don't care now because you're living in the moment and you're just disregarding anything that comes your way. But when something comes in front of you, like if something, let's say you pick up an interest, a hobby, or maybe you find the one, like you find the girl of your dreams, or just something, any one of those things that comes into your life, because you don't know the future. You're going to change, and you're going to be like, crap, I'm in debt. I have not cared for so long that I have put myself into a situation where I can't climb out. So now you have to either let go of that vision that you just had, let go of that thing that you've just acquired, or you have to climb your way out of that debt hole or climb your way out of that spot that you've put yourself into.
Yeah, so I don't think that's necessarily true. Like I've had things happen in my life to where they're against the idea that I want. You know, like let's say for example, I was in like tremendous debt, and this one girl who I'm very interested in comes up to me and says, "Oh well, I would be with you, but you're in tremendous debt." You know, I would just say, "Well, that's the situation." You're not going to get anywhere if you just sit and stress about the situation. Oh
Well, if
you
she
know.
truly liked you, then she won't care that you have debt. However, by having that debt, you'll be hurting not just one person, yourself, but you'll be hurting both of you. She's so in love with you that she's blind, and that she'll be with you regardless. But you've gotten yourself into the situation that now you're hurting two people.
No, life continues. I don't think in 10 years either one of us are going to be too upset. In the moment,
okay.
if you're talking about
if you
in the moment.
If you don't mind revealing, do you have any debt right now, and how much of it do you have?
I probably do, but I don't know how much I have because I just ignore the phone calls.
That's Charles. That's terrible.
I just ignore it. And if they say, "Oh, we've been reaching out to you," guess what?
Okay, let's do like an estimation. All right, is it like about 1,000?
Probably more.
About 2,000?
Probably. It's definitely more.
About 5,000?
Probably a little less.
Okay, so like that's manageable. Like that. In all honesty, if I had that amount of debt or less, I wouldn't really care. But the thing is, the longer that you don't address it, the harder it's going to be to tackle it later. And you say, like, in the future, when this thing happens, when you become, let's say that you become like a social media celebrity, or let's say that you become a father. You know,
I got enough money to pay for it. If I'm a super famous social media celebrity,
not necessarily. Not necessarily. There are several celebrities who are so broke because of their debt that they acquired earlier in their life, and it's taking them, or it took them most of their life to pay it off.
Well, at least they're having a good time.
Wouldn't you want to rather live your life in the moment when that moment comes instead of be stressed?
Like I said, if I just choose not to be stressed, then I'm not going to be stressed. I think that it's pretty crazy that you're arguing like, do you like I'm saying I have a stress-free lifestyle. You're saying that whenever certain things happen, you're stressed out, and you're arguing for the stressful lifestyle. I'm trying to explain how to have a stress-free lifestyle.
I don't think my lifestyle's stressful.
No, you said like when certain things happen, you get stressed out. And whenever I say, well, if you did these things, then you wouldn't be stressed out, you're arguing for the negative.
Yeah, having debt is stressful to me. However, paying off the debt feels better than ignoring the debt.
So do you think that in order to get the maximum amount of serotonin, we should go $10,000 in debt, and so that we enjoy the rush of paying it off?
No.
We should force ourselves into that situation?
No.
Why not?
Because that's just not smart. However,
I enjoy the rush.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that comparing your lifestyle to my lifestyle, I get more serotonin from paying off debt than I do ignoring debt. That doesn't mean that I want to be in debt. It just means that I don't want to ignore debt.
Yeah, I win.
Okay, moving on. What's the next topic that you have for us today?
I saw you just forfeit.
I'm not forfeiting. We're running out of time. What's the next topic?
The next topic is how do you lose every single argument that we have?
Okay, whatever. We are going to let the comments decide.
No, they're going to side with me. Anyways, next topic is, and it actually kind of like ticks me off whenever you use this phrase, but just so that everybody is kind of on the same level as us. What's the thing you call it? Girl math?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
If you've ever watched, so this is for the audience listening. If you've ever watched a YouTube short, a TikTok, or an Instagram reel, you've probably come up upon a joke about girl math. And the act of girl math is when a girl goes to a store. They do not plan on buying something, but because they saw a sale or a discount, they bought it, and they tell you that they saved a certain amount of money by buying the thing on discount, even though they went into the store with the intention of not buying anything.
That's not necessarily girl math. It's a whole bunch of different categories off of one central point.
No.
Yes, it is.
Girl math.
That is not girl math. It's a whole bunch of different things off of one central point. If
okay,
a girl,
that is
one example.
I'll be the receiver of the girl math. I've created a budget. I've told myself I only have $200 to spend on recreational goods this week, or this month, we'll say. And I'm at the store, and I notice a video game console. It is $1,000, but it's on discount for $300. Now, I told myself that I'm not going to spend more than $200. However, let's say the Xbox X is usually $1,000, but it's discounted $700, and I buy it. That's girl math.
That's one example, but let's take that example. Okay, so would you plan to buy that thing in the future?
Yeah, if it coincided with my budget.
Okay, so if you are planning to buy it in the future, why would you not take advantage of the sale now if you're going to, in the long run, spend more money rather than go $100 over your budget?
Okay. And then counter argument, it depends. So if my budget is life or death, like if I'm
never life or death.
If I'm living paycheck to paycheck, putting groceries on the table, this, that, or the other, and I'm going to go $100 over my budget just so I can have some short-term self-fulfillment, then yes, that
It's not short term.
I cannot agree with that at all. Because I mean, you might have people that you're providing for, you might have yourself you're providing for. If it was just me, if I was by myself, then I can see myself doing that, because like I would have like less care for myself, and I'm like, well, I can skip a couple meals if it means that I can buy this. But the thing is, I have people that rely on me, and I have duties and responsibilities that I have to keep up with. And if I were to go over that budget, I might be disappointing more than just myself.
But you could just cut down on the other things. Or guess what? You could go into debt, and the next paycheck's gonna pay it off.
I I have a credit card for emergencies, and I use debt as a resource, not as an emergency.
I use it as a privilege. Debt is a privilege.
That is not a freaking
That
privilege.
is a privilege because
No.
guess what? Like okay, let me give you a little insight. I didn't realize.
I don't think the freaking impoverished people of the world think that they're privileged right now.
The privilege is being able to pay with debt, you know? So if like, let's say I went out and I had a credit card and I was like, oh, I don't have any money. I'm using my credit card, or I'm going into overdraft so I can buy a game. Guess what? The next paycheck's going to cover it. So technically, are you in debt? No.
All right, speak your piece about the girl math, and then we'll move on to the next subject.
So I win. No, because we didn't even go over the which we can tie this one and the next one into one category. The next topic is gambling. Okay.
No, I want you to speak your portion on the girl math, because I explained my part, and I explained what girl math was, but I want to hear your take on it.
First of all, girl math, which I do not like the term, but girl math is a central point scattered out into several examples. It's not just one. Where I don't even know. I don't think that's a thing. Like you have this bad idea of it, but I think it's just like the more intelligent way, and the lesser, not the more intelligent, but I think it's the lesser stressed way to spend money. So, I mean,
I'm going to do a generalized definition of girl math. That way we can associate it to this topic.
Okay.
Girl math is the act of saving using discounts, and not by storing cash. It is the act by saving, by basically creating a future bank.
I think that's a good general term, but like, okay, let's use the example that I gave you. Okay, let's say that you were going out to buy food, and somebody said, "Here, I'll pitch in. I'll give you $20. Food's going to be $30. I'll give you $20. Okay. So you're going to spend $30 regardless. And now you have an extra $20. So now you have $50. So why would you not go ahead and spend the full $50, because you were already going to pay $30 of it anyways. So they're using $20 for the food, and now you've quote unquote saved $20. But if you were already dead set, you're going to live your life already paying $30, why would you not just spend the extra $20 on something else? Either more food, or, I don't know, let's say you're going to go out and get alcohol. Who cares?
For me, is it's extremely environmental. It's extremely like circumstantial, I should say. If someone pays for my meal, and now I'm positive $20.
$20.
If I know that I might need that money later, it's going to be better for me to save that money than to spend it.
But why would you be in a situation where you need to save the money if you were already going to use the money?
For instance, if you and I are like out in the night, and you take me to Mickey D's, and then I'm like reaching to pay for my meal, and then you say, no, I got it. And then you throw your card in the window. Like, am I going to peek my head in the window and go, hey man, could you add an extra sandwich to that meal because my buddy's saying, like,
no, but later that night you could say, you know what? I'm going to go buy some video games, because guess what? I have $30 that I was going to spend anyways. If you were going to like, the thing is, if you're going to spend that money anyways, why? I don't understand the logic in like, well, it would be better for me to save it. You weren't going to spend it originally. So you would be in the position that you were going to be in initially.
Right. Why is it extremely circumstantial? Because if I can see myself being better off saving the money than spending it, then I'm going to save it. For instance, if I know that I have a bill upcoming and I don't know if I'm going to pay, if I don't know I'm going to pay it, and by saving that money, it actually puts me at ease, then I know that I'm going to pay the bill, then I'm definitely going to save that money.
But you're already going to use the money, so why it can't be that big of a deal because you had already previously thought, I'm going to use this money. And then all of a sudden, whenever you don't have to use the money, it's like, holy cow, a big weight's been lifted off my shoulders. Like, well, I don't understand. Like, you were in a position where you're like, yeah, this money doesn't really matter. And then it's like, holy cow, this money's like $1 million.
Saving the money is almost the same serotonin that I get from paying off debt. If I was going to spend a certain amount of money and I got a discount and I saved money, that it relieves tension. It makes me happy. If I have $1,000 in debt and I pay $500 of that debt and I don't accumulate any interest because of it, that makes me happy. That's another.
Then what's the point of extracurriculars? Like, what's the point of that? Because if you saving money gives you immense joy, then when you do these extra things where you have to spend money, you could have just those aren't things that like you have to do. You could, like, it's not like you're gonna die if you don't go out and buy the disc for your next round of disc golf. You know, you don't have to buy the disc. So what's the point of having or doing these extra things if you get immense joy from saving money?
Because it's the difference between a poor mindset and a wealthy mindset. A poor mindset is someone who's like, well, I didn't spend $30 because someone helped me out, so I'm going to spend the extra money that I just saved. That's a poor mindset. A wealthy mindset is, all right, I just saved $20. I'm going to either reinvest that $20 or put it into a savings account for it to accumulate, or so that I can be at ease for future emergencies.
I think you're just biased.
How is that biased?
I think that I could argue, well, my mindset is the wealthier mindset because I know that certain rich people are so rich that they spend all their money in one day, and then the next day they have millions in the bank because they have passive income. I could say that too, and then I could say that I'm setting myself up for that.
Right, but they're already wealthy, though. Neither of us are.
But they've lived that lifestyle their entire life.
That's not
and
necessarily true.
They just progressively made more money as time went along.
That's not necessarily true. There are several wealthy people who were poor and worked their way to wealth, and there are several wealthy people who were born into wealth and that have no regard for money, and who those people with that mindset have a poor mindset. They spend the money because they're like, well, I'm going to make the money back anyway, and then guess what? Then they end up homeless because of an emergency. A tornado tears through their father's corporation or their mother's corporation, or a freaking tsunami takes down a 1,000-year legacy, or someone gets sued. If you don't have a strong mindset, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
But they could not possibly have a poor mindset because they are in a wealthy position. Like the people who...
That's not true. People are born into wealth all the time.
I'm saying the people who work themselves up from the bottom and they had the same mindset as me and they just progressively made more money. Those are the people that you'd probably want to listen to because
I don't know. Okay, name one example who has a mindset like you and who has made money.
Andrew Tate.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Andrew Tate, when they were young, they said, I'm either going to be immensely poor or I'm going to be extremely wealthy. I don't want to be in the middle ground where I'm playing the game that society's put upon us.
So right, but that's because he turned his work into money. That's not because he spent his money willy-nilly.
Yes, he did. There were numerous stories. There were numerous stories where he made an extra $100 and then he would tell Tristan, let's go gambling, go gamble it, and then he's like, I lost all my money.
But that's not how they got wealthy, though.
They got wealthy because they got wealthy through their work, but they didn't save their money. They actually advocate of not saving your money because you're not going to get rich by saving pennies. You're going to get rich doing big projects.
Right, but alcohol, fast food, video games, that is exactly what I just said, though. I literally just said that like 5 minutes ago. If, in my mindset, if someone pays for my food and I'm now in the positive $20, I'm going to do one of three things. I'm going to reinvest it into something productive. I'm going to put it into a savings account for emergency. What was the other thing that I said?
Yeah, so I win.
Well, I guess I just said two things then. But I'm going to put it into a savings account.
They didn't put it into a savings account.
I remember the third thing now. I'm either going to put it into a savings account so that I have security for the future, just in case of an emergency. I'm going to reinvest it either into a business or into a stock, or I'm going to put it into a financial savings account to let it accrue over time and make passive income. So that's what I'm saying. I take the extra money and I put it into I put it into work. I make my money work.
Right, but they, like I said, they weren't like they advocated against saving your money.
That's because the extra money that they got, they put it into work projects.
Right, and that's fine. Like, yeah, so that's fine. But I'm saying, like, I'm not saying like spend all your money on extra stuff. I'm saying like in a situation where that's a thing, like I would not judge the person for saying, oh, well, I was gonna spend the money anyways. Oh my gosh, right. Do we have our first agreement?
I mean, I don't judge people for the way that they live, but if we're going to argue, no, I don't. I don't judge people.
You just said that I have a less I'm a stupid person for having the mindset that I am. That is judging.
No. That's about debt. That's about debt, though.
Yeah, but that's a lifestyle. You're judging my lifestyle.
All right, fine. I'll judge that. I'll judge that hard. Frick you. I'll judge that.
Okay, so I win.
You win on the fact that I judge you.
No, okay. I would say that this is like as much of a middle ground that we're gonna have.
Yeah, I think like having the mindset that you're going to spend the money anyway is like there is facts behind it. Because I mean, if you get into an emergency and you have to spend money on the emergency, then yes, you just spent the money that you saved from that freaking extra restaurant money, or dining out money, I should call it. But like what I'm talking about is making your money work, or putting it into things that build you up and not tear you down. So if I saved some money and then I go home and I'm like, actually, I'm still hungry, and then I go out and spend the money on food again, then I've made zero money.
No, because you could have not. You could have made.
I'm going to call a spade, and you've made zero money. You've made zero. No. You have not profited.
Yes, because you would have still been hungry if you didn't work. You would have had to spend the money, and you would have been in the same situation. I'm hungry. I have to eat. Oh well, if I worked today, I could have used that money on food. But now, guess what? You're in a better position because now you have money to spend.
I'm still on the train that
you're still. Thinking I'm right.
No. The only way that I agree with you is the fact that you're going to spend the money at some point in your life. That is true.
All right, let's just agree.
No, I ain't bloody agreeing.
We just said that we have a middle ground and now you're not agreeing.
No, I'm not going to agree with you completely. I do not think that if you spend the money on something like food, even though you were already going to spend it on food and now you've just doubled your spending.
Hey, do you want to go eat after this for real?
Yeah, maybe if you pay.
Okay, deal.
If I intend on spending the money and then someone pays for me and then I end up spending the money anyway on something to the same level as what I was going to spend it on, then I've made $0.
Listen, I see your point. You see my point. I think this is the best middle ground we're going to get. I think that if we're just arguing from now on, it's going to be just a loop. I think this is the best middle ground we're going to get. So now guess what? We got to spank each other. We got to clap our butts together. We got to do whatever it takes.
We got to do whatever it takes to get those views.
All right. So since Shooter has to leave, are we going to end it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm just going to give a little sneak peek into the third topic, which we might save for a future one because I feel like this is going to get good, okay? This is the third topic. We're going to do a sneak peek on our takes, okay? The third topic was going to be gambling. This is going to be my question to end the video on. Do you think children should be able to gamble?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, no, answer the question.
Answer the question?
Yes.
No.
Yes, they should.
No, they shouldn't.
Yes, they should.
All right, no.
Well, I'll tell you why real quick.
Okay.
Okay, here's why they should gamble is because whenever you're a younger person, the money you have really doesn't matter. You know, think of all the money that you had whenever you were a kid, your birthday money, it just went to video games. So if kids learned how to gamble, you would have less instances of 18-year-olds going to Vegas and losing all their money because they don't understand how the system works.
That is not true even a little bit.
That is completely true.
No. If we let kids gamble when they were younger, we would have more people in the casino because casinos.
Right, but they would understand.
No, they would not understand. No, they would not, because this is what they would do. The entire strategy of the casino would change. What they would, I wouldn't even say the strategy would change, because casinos are already built to deceive you. They're built to like, oh, you won $5, now give us $5,000, and that's what they would do to the little kids. A little kid would like waddle up in there, and then
and they would learn.
No, they would not learn, because the
eventually, if they do it for years.
Charles, there are adults that haven't learned
because they didn't do it since they were kids. Anyways, let's save this for another day. Do the outro.
Fine.
Hey there, it's the other Spank Judah. We appreciate you listening in on our show, Ramble About Life. If you enjoy the show, follow the channel and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Also, spank you later? What in the world? Did Charles write this? Bruh, freaky outro. Anyway, I'm gonna skip that. Okay, let us know what we should debate next in the comments. Stay awesome and stay safe, y'all. Peace.